Don't push buttons I don't need to push. So, last time. Title of the stream is We Keep Interrupting Conferences. This has been the span of, as far as our main character, Rintaro, Okarin, Kyoma, Hoin Kyoma. He's got several names. As far as he's concerned, we have been spending about 6 hours or so. But based on all the other things going on, events that we think happened this morning may have happened a week ago. Not entirely sure. There is definitely some time skip, time jump, tomfoolery happening. But in that short span of time, from our perspective, we have attended and interrupted 2 scientific conferences. The first being the start of the game, we went to Dr. Nakabachi. We went to his conference where we interrupted to tell him that he was a fake scientist, he's a plagiarist, and he's not a real inventor. Through the course of that calming down, we ended up talking to a character that we had met, that we had seen in a magazine, the girl genius of Japan, Mikase Kurisu. I had a conversation with her. It was a very weird conversation. I not only accused her of being a member of a shadowy organization that is out to my number one enemy, she seems to have a memory of, you were just about to say something to me. You and I were just talking. You seemed sad. What were you going to say? I'm like, this is the first time I've ever seen you. I don't know what you're talking about. This is clearly the work of the organization. She goes off. I go back to the conference. It's over. We hear a scream. I walk into the back room. I find Kurisu in a puddle of her own blood. I assume she's been stabbed. I leave. Other people show up. They look too. I leave. I text my buddy. I'm like, dude, at this conference, saw that girl from the magazine. Somebody stabbed her. As she did. I get outside. I see all these people in Akihabara. It's busy as all get out. Some kind of like weird, kind of like flash. I get some kind of like experience, and I look around. Everybody's gone. Everybody's gone. It's confusing. It's weird. I'm cutting out some of the details. Flash forward to later that day, quote unquote. I'm walking with my close friend. I consider him a close friend. He's just kind of like, hey, you barely talk to me. I'm talking to my bud. We go down to this conference. It's basically we get to write a paper or we go to these talks. And we don't want to go to these talks. We're college students. We go to this talk because we don't want to write a paper. Walk into this talk. Who do I bump into right out the elevator? Mikase Kurisu. The person I saw in a pool of their own blood. What is going on? I'm confused. I confuse her and I confuse my buddy because I'm like grabbing her by the shoulder. I'm like, you got stabbed. You're supposed to be dead. Oh, great first line. Great. You run into somebody. You're supposed to be dead. Real creep behavior. And it gets creepier because then I'm just like touching her face. And you're not a ghost. I'm trying to like lift her shirt up to like see where she got stabbed. I'm like, you should have a scar. She pushes me away. And then she's just like, whatever. And then my buddy is just like, yeah, oh yeah, you texted me something weird like a week ago. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And so either it's this weird thing where like I sent a text, it didn't arrive for a week later, but like the text was sent from a week prior. Like it was all very confusing. So like I had sent him a text, it looked like it came from a week prior. He received it today, and he was just like, I just thought this was weird. But like my phone says you sent this a week ago. All kinds of weird. So turns out she is there. She is giving the talk. She's giving a whole talk about time travel, various theories of time travel. There's 11 theories she goes through. I interrupt that talk. It's been not even half a day. I've gone to 2 conferences. I've interrupted both of them. I've been nearly kicked out of 2 conferences. I'm a real piece of work. So we have interrupted, turned into a discussion. We listened to the whole thing. She was not nervous at all. She was really standing up to a lot of people who were giving her pushback on the things she was saying. She's really smart. And we have finished up. We've wrapped up, and I have gone clearly outside to look at the beautiful sunset. And so that's where we left off. And so this says Kurisu wa. So this is where we ended. We're going to read it again. Saisho, from the beginning, 紹介した の time travel 理論. So she, from the beginning, basically introduced and talked through two types of time travel theory. それぞれ, each of them respectively. She explained, she gave a very easy to understand, わかりやすく 解説してくれた. So she gave a explanation that was easy to understand. わかりやすく. わかりやすい, if you take a verb and you put it in the masu form, わかります, and you take the mas off, that becomes the mas form, わかり, and you add yasui, and that's like easy, so easy to understand. You can also say difficult to understand by saying わかりにくい, and it becomes a e adjective basically, so you can conjugate it the same way. So that's why it's not yasui, it's yasuku. So it's modifying the explanation. So what kind of explanation? So this shite kureta is something was given, what was given, an explanation, and then we go back and say what kind of explanation was given. Wakariyasuku, an easy to understand explanation. Sorezore, and each of them, respectively, each of them were given an easy to understand explanation. Saisho, from the beginning, wa dato tado tadoshi. Saisho wa tadoshi with difficulty tokoro. So at the beginning there's a little difficulty. Mo atta. So there was also a little bit of difficulty at the beginning, at the onset. Come on. Shirai ni, gradually, narete kita no ka. She gradually got accustomed to it and like really overcame that initial faltering, which it was more so the starting. She was doing a lot of like the this is the first time speaking in front of a lot of people, and she made it very clear time travel and time travel theories aren't necessarily her field of study, but she's still going to give the talk on it, and she did very well considering that. And Saishuteki, eventually, ultimately, that's a new one. So this is Yomichan that I'm using. You can also use Yomichan. I've got everything coming from my text hooker into this. This is a web, it's called a web socket server or something along those lines. It's taking all the text out of the game that I can't do anything with, and I can copy and paste, I can do whatever. But because this is on a web page, I can use Yomichan. I have mine set to shift. I hold shift while hovering over a word, and it recognizes each word, and it gives me a definition, it gives me the reading, and this green button is highlighted. That means I do not currently have that in my Anki deck, which is the deck that I have all of my vocabulary in, and I can add it at the click of a button. So this was a new one that I did not have. Saishuteki ni wa. So in the end, とっても18歳で初舞台. This is another new one. Initial stage performance. 初舞台とは思えないほど. So he's basically saying, ultimately, like you would be unable to think that this was that even though she's 18 years old, that this is the first time she was on stage. Like I can't even. That's not something I can think. I'm not able to even imagine that or think that. Although to the extent that I can't imagine. 堂々とした My Yomichan's being very slow recently. 講義 basically it was an impressively done lecture, even though I once again interrupted it, as I am just at this point known for doing. It's my calling card, saying weird stuff about the Kikan, the organization, the authority, and interrupting. I'm both accusing everybody of being part of the organization, and I'm interrupting talks. That's my mo. I'm good for it. I am good for it. Ore no ijiwari na, my malicious, my ill-tempered, my malicious. This is gonna be question. Shitsumon ni hiniku de. So like ni kaishitari to. So basically like the sarcastic, ill-tempered question. Like it was returned after returning that. Ano to dokyo, courage. Dokyo wa daishita mono da. So he's basically saying like I was a jerk. I asked this stupid question, and I asked it in a way that was intentionally trying to be rude, intentionally trying to stir up trouble. And despite that, with irony, it was returned. Like it was returned. It was turned upside down, and it took a lot of courage for her to do that. Didn't throw her off. Te. This is usually said like they said. She said like. It shows up a lot. It's kind of. It's, as you can see, it's got a lot of meanings. So it's kind of one of those things where you just have to look at the sentence to figure out. I often see it and understand that it is probably not going to impact the actual meaning of my sentence so much, so I don't put too much thought into it. I normally look at it when it's just that after like a saying or another sentence. Being at the beginning is I don't want to say new for me. I don't see it as often as rather than saying the full toimashita, tohanashimashita, as you were telling the story. So like, oh yeah, I was at the store and the guy at the store said blah 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 blah. In Japanese, you would say like, as for the person at the store, what they said, tohanashimasu, toimashita. And you could just, as you're speaking quickly, and you said te, and that is the way that you can quickly say they said, he said, she said. But as you can see, it can also be if then. Do you seriously think? I already told you. You should know by now. I hear that. More. I hear that. I hear that. Blah 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 blah. So what does it mean at the beginning? Not 100%. Not 100%. Naze ore wa ano onna o homete iru no ka. So basically saying like it took a lot of courage for her to like say this, but like why did she give me speak highly of me? I know for a fact I know who Charleston Lee is, and I know it's not you. I know you're not Charleston Lee. I think I already told you who Charleston Lee is, but don't pretend you're Charleston Lee. You're not Charleston Lee. What's up? それよりもどう apart from that, apart from that, why are you so rude? There we go. More importantly, もうだ。俺はミカセクリスが死んだのを見ているのだ. So saying like, yeah, she had no reason to give me, to praise me or to speak highly of me. Not only that, like more importantly, like she died. I saw her. Like I saw that she was dead. Nanoni. Nanoni is another one that again throws me off a lot because it just like te will show up at the beginning, show up later on. Hey man, I wanna connect with you at some point to figure out what you're doing. If you're still where you were at the same work location that you've always been, you a lifer. I don't know. We gotta get the band back together. Go over to the what's that deli called? Get the crew, you, me, and Dean. Go get whatever the heck deli that was. That wasn't 4th Street Deli. It had a name. I don't know. Na no ni kanojo wa ikiteita. So again, he's saying like, however, even then, nevertheless, she is alive. She's alive. Oh, yeah, scroll down. Ore wa kiyoku, my memory ni wa, in my memory. Look at that. Sougo ga aru. There's an inconsistency. That is quite the word. All right, thanks, man. That is a crazy one. I'm gonna grab this and look at this. This is the type of kanji that people talk about when they're just like, Japanese is stupid. How do you learn this? Look at these. 20 strokes and 22 strokes. That's how many lines that this involves. Each stroke is one line that you would use to draw this. Insane to me. I don't feel like uneven bite, disagree, irregular teeth. I would be shocked if these were part of the these show up in 2 words, and they always show up together. It looks like. What a strange one. Sogo, inconsistency. Genko sogo, inconsistency of speech. So it's inconsistency. It's probably one of those things where you will never see this, probably. It's not even showing up as any. This is a very obscure character. It's not even, and it's the components. There's so many components. I don't believe this is a normal character that you see all the time. But interesting. That's the thing. So there's what's called the Joyo kanji, which is the daily use kanji. There's about 2,300 that you learn, and in theory that is enough that you could read the paper. And newspapers and publications, they try to limit the word usage to use those kanji because it's like more of a literacy thing. Like, most people know these kanji. You get out of high school and you know this amount, you know all these, you'll recognize those. Anything beyond is pretty much, there are a lot more words or a lot more kanji than 2,300, but you would only need to know those if you were going to college or getting your master's degree or working in a specific field like science. So every now and again you run into something where like this word showed up, but it's not something that I'll ever see again. I've added it, but the upside is I really just need to remember this word, sogo, and I really just need to remember this craziness of the 4 kanji of people kind of on this shelf. I mean, it looks like teeth, and they were kind of talking about teeth. But this is only going to be in this word. This isn't in anything else. One of these kanji was technically in another word, but these are exceedingly rare. And it will probably never come up. I added it just because, but I'll probably never see that again. Kurisu no what, Ken? Yeah. So the situation, the subject of her, dakedenaku. So not just her, mayuri ya daru to no kaiwa mo kami awa nakatta shi. So it's not just that this person is here. Judy, yeah. It's been a while. He might have already left. No, he's still here. Yeah. I was just saying we got to go down to that deli over on 4th sometime. Relive the old days. Get caught on the Google car again. Every time that shows up in my Facebook memories that we were on the Google Street View. We're still there. And my favorite part of that is that my professor from graphic design school was just like, if you zoom out, I'm in that picture too. And you zoom out, sure enough, there he is, this fucking 7-foot tall behemoth walking toward us. Just the wildest serendipitous goofiness that ever occurred. But yeah, so we gotta get over there if they're still open. I don't know. I don't make it down that way very often. Um, anyhow, not just that the situation with Kurisu, the situation where I'm pretty sure I saw her dead, but I'm having conversations with Mayuri and Daru and my friends, and I'm not in gear. I'm not in. Um, oh, you moved. I was going to find out where you are. I don't know if you're still at the same place you were a long time ago, or if you've moved on to another company or not. Oh, there you go. Mostly work remote. That's the way to do it. So I'm not able to my conversations with them. They're not. They're not meshing. It's not making sense. 俺の記憶 my memory とは違うことが現実には起きていたりもする. So his memory is different from what seems to have occurred in reality. What I really want to do, Dean, is I want to go to the I don't know if it's still there, but that bagel stop. I don't know if bagel stops are even. I doubt they're even in existence anymore. I think they closed all of them. But there was that like turkey bagel that had like the banana peppers. That was a great sandwich. Yeah, I think they're gone. But that was a great lunch. Man, the good old days when we were underpaid and overworked. Yeah, they're gone, I think. 俺が夢が幻を見ていたのだ. So my dream, is it a dream? Is it an illusion? Did I see a dream? Did I see an illusion? 解いて come on, 解いてしまえばそれで問題は解決だ. So he's just kind of like something like that. Like the answer has to be, because he's a scientific minded person. He's just like, as much as these things aren't making sense to me, I just have to assume that it was a dream or I've seen some kind of illusion in my head. But that's got to be the solution to the problem. However, 万が一ということもある. However, there's still a chance. There's still a chance. というわけで, get back over there. というわけで. That's just not just so let's look at wake again. I always wake de. というわけで. Oh, here we go. So he's probably saying it is not that wake de, and just not finishing it? Or is there a second one that's yeah, because there doesn't seem to be just a wake de by itself. So effectively, I think he's saying like doesn't mean that there's not a chance. But he's just not finishing it. Wake de wa nai. He's just ending it prior. There we go. Some music. The cicadas. Semi. ATF が終わるとwhat? 別れまっすぐにこの柳林神社にやってきた. So he separated, after the event, he separated from Daru and he went to this shrine. This is, I'm going to have to look this up because that pronunciation is not showing up correctly. Okay, somebody's taking a picture of that shrine from Steins Gate. I want to know what the name of the shrine is. Someone just saying like, hey, here, look at this. It's the shrine. Cool. Cool. That's cool, man. What's the shrine's name? Did they just make it up for the game? So maybe it's a real shrine, they changed the name of it, so I'm not going to be able to find out. Let me take the shrine part off. I don't think we're talking about Lulin. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I mean, not Yanagi. I don't know. We just don't know how, unless they teach us, we don't know how to pronounce that. Oh my god, I do this every fucking time. It's right above here. Yanabayashi. Yanabayashi Jinja. Yanabayashi. I'm telling you. I gotta pay attention. So he went to the shrine. He went to the shrine. Mokuteki wa, his intention was, o harai shite moraita tame da. So his intention was to get some exorcism, purification. He's living in this where he's like, my brain's not right, something's going on. I'm gonna go to the shrine and I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna get exorcised. ATF de Mikase Kurisu ga yurei datta to wa tottemo omoenai. He's like, I don't. It's not that I. It seems or appears. It doesn't seem. Because it's a night, it doesn't seem that she was a ghost. However, それでも still. Oh, what was this again? Come on. I didn't add it. お祓いしてもらいたいと思ってしまうのは. So even though I know it doesn't seem like she's a ghost, but I still feel like I need to get an exorcism done. 日本人的放送が染みついてからだな. So he's saying like this is a very Japanese way of thinking, and it's kind of like just ingrained in the Japanese people, which does make sense. I mean, it's not necessarily strictly that they're just a very believing in ghosts and all these things, but there's just some level of like, why take the chance? I don't know what happened there. It was weird, it's creepy. I might as well just stop by the shrine and do a little razzle dazzle, and then I won't have that in the back of my head telling me that I'm being haunted by a ghost. They're not telling us again now. This was like Yanabanashi Jinja wa. It is Bansei Hashi Bansei Hashi o watatte sugu no wagimichi o iri. So he there's an old bridge. He crossed an old bridge from the side of the road. That's how he entered. Gado shita, under the tracks. Gado shita o kugutta, to go under. Saki no kawazowi ni aru. So it's there's this under the tracks that's. He went under the tracks near a river bank, kind of describing how he got there. Shui, the environment, the surroundings. Shui no Sakyo biru. There's a multi-tenant buildings, a mixture of buildings that are surrounding the nearby this temple. Towa. Futsuri aina. There's an imbalance. Totemo chisana jinja da. It's a very small shrine. It seems out of place, basically, with all the apartments and businesses and all that. It's just as you can see, like this very small shrine, and there's all these buildings around. I didn't encounter one this big, but there was a shrine that we ran into. We were in Tsukiji. Well, there's one in Tsukiji and there's one somewhere else where we were just like walking by, and there was just this little tiny very small shrine that was just kind of like it reminded me a lot of like the in America we have little libraries. You'll just be walking down the street and you'll just see this tiny little wooden house that's got a door and there's just a bunch of books in there. It was just this little tiny shrine just on the side of the road. And when we were in Tsukiji, there was just this little, it was a little bit larger, but we had gone, the first thing we had done was we had gone to this really big shrine. It was a huge park and there's all these statues and torii gates and it was expansive. We couldn't even walk the whole extent of the park of this particular shrine. It was that large. And so then to go from that to walking into this shrine where you walk and you turn around and you're just like, this is everything. This seems out of place. So I see, I get what they're describing. So you have all these buildings and it's just kind of a little bit imbalanced, is what he said. Akihabara. Double check here. There we go. Akiba ni wa Shinden Myoji ga aru. Shinden Myoji. A field affiliated with the shrine. Okay, so it's archaic. Myoji. Myojin, a great god or gracious deity, ga ari. So I think it's just again saying that like in the midst of all this there is this I'll add it just because it's fun to add words, but I don't know how often this is going to come up, but here we go. Sochi no ho ga yume da ga. So this it's famous. It's famous. Ore wa aete kochira no jinja o eranda. So it's famous, and that's kind of why select. That's why he deliberately chose this shrine. Ga yume da ga. So I don't know if he's saying that he chose a smaller one on purpose. So this is saying one of two things, and it's all stemming from the fact that I'm not 100% sure what the full meaning of this is. So this is either saying that he chose this, well, this one's out of place, it's kind of a strange, it's a little bit imbalanced with its surroundings, and he's saying, you know, in Akihabara there is this, which is saying that there's this field affiliated with shrines, and it's the gracious deity shrine. Sochi no ho ga yume da ga. So even though in this way it's famous, ore wa aete purposefully, deliberately kochira no jinja o eranda. So he's either fully saying that this is famous and that's exactly why I chose it, which is the most straightforward, but there's a slight possibility that he's saying that even though there is a more famous shrine in Akihabara, he still chose this one deliberately. But I think that's a stretch. I think what we're really saying is that this is famous, and that's why he chose it. Again, it's not going to change drastically any of the meaning, so not important, but I just wanted to talk through my thought process going on there. Soredemo, however, and yet, uerareta wazuka na kigi kara wa, soredemo, nevertheless, uerareta, so were wazuka, a few. There were, even though there aren't that many trees planted nearby. Semi no naki koe ga. Come on. I need to know. Hibite kuru, hibite kuru. So even though there aren't that many trees, the sound of the cicadas is resounding. Like you can really hear the cicada crying. Cicada. And there's our friend, Mayuri. Are? Oh, Okarinda. It's Okarin. And she does her little catchphrase. Doo-doo-doo. And he's saying, Shaden no mae ni, in front of the main building of the shrine, Futari no shoujo ga itta. There are two girls. Kataware wa Mayuri da. One of them is Mayuri. And the other? Soshite mo hitotsu wa Hitori wa, and also the one other person, Ichinin Hitori. Miko, Shrine Maiden, the outfit of a Shrine Maiden. This is familiar if you've watched Sailor Moon. Rei works at a shrine, and when you first meet Rei, who, spoiler alert, becomes Sailor Mars, she's working at the shrine. She's kind of wearing some of the same outfit. So that is called a Miko, a shrine maid. Miko. Fuku o kita, wearing the clothes, to wear the clothes of a shrine girl. Otona shiso, a quiet, it's usually obedient, quiet, docile. Again, it's weird to translate into English to refer to somebody in a non-strange sounding way, to say, oh, they're so obedient or they're so docile. That's got kind of a negative spin, but like they're quiet. Quiet is probably the more, like, they're more reserved. They're a little bit more introverted, and so I wouldn't quite go in and say like, oh, I'm a very obedient girl dressed like a shrine maiden. So I think she's just quiet. It seems like I know a little bit more about this person. Shoujo to yu to kohei ga aru kamoshirenai. So he's saying, like, you could say girl, but that's probably misleading. Kamoshirenai, probably, and misleading. Koitsu, they are, this is a name, and I forget the name. Ruka, so this is their name, I forget what it is, but Kono Shinto no Guji no Musuko de aru. So the priest of this shrine, this is their son. So they are dressed like a shrine girl. They look very feminine, but that's the son of the shrine. What do they call it? The chief priest. I should add that. Kuji. Jinja no Kuji no musuko de aru. So, musuko no nanode. So again, they're saying like, yeah, that's the son. I said son. Do mite mo. So no matter how you look at it, Karen, sweet. Karen na bishoujo da ga otoko da. So, by all appearances, it is a sweet, beautiful girl. However, it's a boy. And they are calling me by my actual name, Okabe-san, konnichiwa. Everybody else is calling me Okarin. I also don't like my main name, apparently, so I've gone by 3 names. Okabe Rintaro is my real birth name. Okarin is what Mayuri calls me, and other people have picked up that habit as well. And apparently, I don't like either of those. I would prefer people to call me by my mad scientist name, Ho'oin Kyoma. And so far, the only person to do that is Kurisu, the mysterious red-haired super genius girl who I pretty sure I saw die this morning. wild ride we've been on. Pekkori, pekkori to atama o sagerareta. So with the they quickly bowed their head. Very polite. Kono koe mo shigosa mo. So that voice and that mannerism, onna ni shika mienai. Like all their mannerisms, like you can't like mienai. Like they all seem to be like a woman. Toyuka onna yorimo onnarashi. Onna yorimo onnarashi. So he's saying like she's like more so that saying she's a woman, she's like very woman-like. She's very feminine-like. Daga, however, it's a boy. Mayori yori. Mayori yori. So more than mayori. More than mayori. What? Sei wa takai ga. So this person is taller than mayori. Karada tsu, their build, their figure. Karada tsuki wa totemo hosoi. They're very slender. Daga otoko da. Really wants to drive home that this is a boy. Miko fuku ga ni ateiru. Like this the outfit, the shrine maiden outfit really suits them. However, it's a boy. Tei ni wa dakeboki o motte ita. They're holding a bamboo broom that you would be using to clean the area of the shrine, the ground. Soji chu datta yoda. It seems like they were in the middle of cleaning the grounds. However, they're a boy. Mo yugure ga chikai toyu no wa atsui na. So even though it is already evening is drawing near, dusk is drawing near. This is the evening, dusk, twilight. Even though that's nearing, even though you could say that it's getting closer, it's still hot. Atsuna. However, she's a boy. It's just this point. I think we're gonna. I see where this is going. Semi no nakikoe ga urusai. The sounds of the cicadas, very annoying, very loud. And I'm gonna bet here that it's gonna remind me. Daga otoko da. Yes. Daga otoko da. Very Japanese humor. Rukkako. So this is Rukka. I forget their last name, but Rukka. They're in my phone. I saw them in my phone earlier. Rukkako yo. So saying, young Rukka. Rukkako yo. Omae, you. Ore ga. Oshiete? Is this oshiete? Ataeta. To bow, to katana wa doshita. Ataeta katana wa doshita. I don't know. Boku wa koitsu to wa kaonajimi. We're acquaintances. De Rukkako to yondeiru no da. So we're acquaintances, but I call them Rukkako. Izen hokoten de. So at a pedestrian mall. Kamera kozo, photographer. Kamera kozo. I'd like to add this. There we go. Kozo ni karamarete iru tokoro o tamatama Yeah, probably occasional, probably not testicles. Tamatama tasukete yattara irai itakareru you ni natta. So I think he's saying that like at a pedestrian mall, like they were either Rintaro or Ruka were uh, a photographer, and they got entangled or entwined, developed a connection with, and occasionally would help them. And ever since then, they have a suspicion, a grudge. Yoninata. I never assumed that this would be a antagonistic relationship, but that means it seems like maybe there is, like they got in a fight, and he's been holding a grudge ever since. Chinamini, by the way, Rukako wa Mayuri to onaji koko ni tote ari. So they go to the same high school. Guzen ni mo, and even more so coincidentally, Utari wa classmate dattari suru. Even more so, they're classmates. Sono jijitsu o shitta no wa, I knew this. Ore ga rikuko o shiru atta ato no koto. So I knew this truth. No wa. Ore ga rikuko koto shiri atta, to make acquaintance. Ato no koto. Ore no suru to toikake ni Rukako wa ha to shite unadareta. So I guess I was a little bit mean, and she's kind of, they've hung their head. Kao o kocho sasete ima ni mo nakidashisou ni moji moji to shi hajimeru. So I responded, and their reaction was to kind of hang their head down, and they look like they might cry. Yoto, magical sword. Samidare, early no koto desu yore. So he said something about like, are you presenting me a sword? Are you presenting me with a sword? And she's saying like, oh, this Yoto is a sword of early rain. Koto desu yo ne. Soda, is that so? Are wa omae, your power. Seigyo, control. Seigyo suru tame ni katte yatta no da zo. So, tame ni katte yatta. So that's to buy? So he's saying like, I'd like to buy that power from you. So I think he's saying like, he wants to be exercised. So he's saying like, I'd like to buy your power to exercise. So she's saying like, yeah, she's got a sword of early summer rain, but he wants to be exercised. Oh, there we go. Akiba no what? Bukiya Hombo. Something about the head office, the main shop. So this shrine's head shop, de katta yatsu de sho. So you want to buy that? It's 980 yen. Oh. Mayuri, sore ijo iyu to yatsura ni kesareru zo. Ma yuri. Is saying, sore ijo. Anymore. Yuto yatsura kesareteru zo. Like, don't say that anymore. Come on, highlight. Delete, erase. Don't say that anymore. Kono ken ni tsuite, as this situation. Kuchi ni dasu na. Don't interrupt. To erase, all completely gone. Okari, shinpai shite kurete arigato. Thank you for your concern. Demo, however, yatsura te dare kana? Who said yatsura? Like, yatsura is those guys, and she said yatsu. She said yatsu de sho, and he somehow is saying don't say yatsura, but she didn't. And she's saying who said that? I think, again, if you know Japanese better than I do, feel free to jump in chat. I'm translating it from my understanding, and there is always going to be a chance that I'm very wrong in my translation, and that's okay. I'm okay with it. Maybe you're not okay with it. If you're not okay with it, you let me know. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk it out. Ma yuri no toikake wa, the interrogation, he's questioning her questioning. Aete, deliberately. Suru, so he's ignoring her question deliberately. So he's saying, sorere, therefore, ruka ko yo. Yoto. Samidare wa chanto tsukaite no ka? Would you use it? Would you use your enchanted sword, like, earnestly? Like, will you earnest use your this magical sword of the early summer rain? She's saying yes. Every day, one time. Suburi o. She practices swinging it one time every day. It's very formal stuff. Mochi seishin zanma. Seishin zanma. Ryu. Seishin zanma ryu o same sae sureba. So he's basically, and this is probably a more involved thing than I realized, but if you look at these each individually, like clean spirit, seishin. I don't know why it's not giving me the whole thing. Seishin zanma ryu. So it's kind of like he's saying, just beheading this demon. Let's see if this comes up anywhere. It's again coming up specifically for there's a card probably for what's this game called? Weiss Schwarz, probably a Weiss Schwarz card, where they talk about this particular moment. But not a lot of actual explanation around what that is. So that's usually when you run into the, like, I don't know what that is. If I were to ask my teacher, she'd probably say, I don't know what that is. And it's maybe something just for this game. So, like, with the, maybe saying, like, with a pure heart, beheading this demon, or what? Agreement side sureba. Like, all that you need to do is to do this. Omae o ano re no uchi ni aru. What is it that exists inside her? Jaku na hino o ni yakareba ni sumu. So it's a very, like, I don't know, very, I want to say poetic. It's like, it's might be even like a ceremonial type of way that he's asking about this. But I feel like the gist of what he's saying here is just kind of like, I want you to use your power to like, I've got this evil spirit within me, and like I need you to exorcise this from me. And it's very, gosh, I'm going to say poetic, but ceremonial type language. Yoto Samidare, the enchanted sword of summer rain. Wa Mozo to, it's a metal fake sword. Mozo to toyu koto ni natteiru ka. So she was carrying this sword on her shoulder. Sore wa sho o shinobu, to hide from society, to keep out of public eye. Kari no sugata. Karibu. Shinobu kari no kata. Sugata. Fusawashi, appropriate. Fusawashi tsukaete ga arawareru toki, sono shin no chikara wa kaihou sareru. So she was hiding it from the public view. She's bringing it out, and with her dominant hand, her appropriate hand. And then sono with that something, that shin no chikara, with true power, with the real power of it. We are haihou sareru, releasing. Sore o 980円税込みで手に入れてのだから安い買い物だ. So he's saying like this for the low price of 980 yen, tax included. で手に入れた, to obtain that for that price, no だから it's 安い買い物. It's a pretty cheap thing. It's a pretty affordable, pretty good deal. Tadashi, however, 妄想等であろうとも外て持ち歩いていたら, if you're just walking around carrying that, 警察に漏れなく without fail, without a doubt, if you're carrying that, the police 報道された will basically they'll question you. So if you're walking around with that sword, a fake metal sword, they will stop you. 決して持ち歩いたりはするな. So don't walk around while carrying it. とルカ子には口を酸っぱくして言ってあった. She says over and over again, Lukako says, don't carry it around in public. That kind of 素敵なものをプレゼントしてもらえた. 岡部さんには what? Come on. 感謝しています. So I think she was saying like she would be honored to give him that type of present, which leads me back to that earlier where it was just like, I think they became friends. I think they're close. I don't think there's an animosity. There was just some of those definitions earlier were kind of implying that there was some level of a grudge, but it doesn't seem to be that way because unless it's one-sided, and Rintaro is kind of that type of person who holds a grudge and is a weirdo. And so I think the idea is that Rukako is able to imbue the sword, but it's just a souvenir that you can buy. Anybody can buy, but I can't quite tell if he's asking Ruka to do some type of ceremony, or if he's asking for a receiving the sword imbued with the power that they are able to imbue with it, and then he gets the sword. So I was thinking about it kind of in this like a ceremonious, like, you know, almost like a knighting style of like, oh, we're gonna cut through and free the demon, but maybe he is asking to buy the sword, but he wants there to be a kind of a ceremonious of like, I've imbued the sword with the something power, and now I'm gifting that to you. And he is saying, Ore wa okabe de wa nai. I'm not Okabe. And she's saying, it's again, like I said, he's got 3 names. He only likes one of them. He does not like Okabe. He certainly does not like Okarin. Mayuri is saying, yeah, his name's Okarin. Again, Ruka knows Kyoma is what he prefers. Gomen Kyoma-san. He's saying, it's understandable. Wakareba ii no da. Wakareba ii no da. Dewa aikotoba o. However, that's the password. Aikotoba o. That's the password that he's been using. He'll end phone calls with that. Erupsai Kongaryu. Kongaryu is not Kongaryu, it's Konguru. Yes. Erupsai Konguru. Was that right? Unazui with a nod, yaru Rukako wa ureshisou ni hohonda. So Ruka has smiles with they seem happy and they're smiling. Ruka. Arigatou gozaimasu. They're very happy. Omae wazu. So without thinking, mitorete shimaisou ni naru karen sa. So he's like, without thinking, they seem to have become captivated or fascinated, completely enchanted and fascinated in sweetness. So I think Rintaro is saying that, like, the sweetness of this person in front of him, he's just like, without thinking, he's just been enchanted by just the aura of this person's kindness and sweetness. What did they say upside sweet? Touching cuteness, touchingly lovely. However, daga otoko da. However, this is a boy. What is this? Utsukushi shite kankei da ne. So, what a beautiful teacher-student relationship. Shite kankei da ne. Mayuri wa fujoshi. She's not a woman who likes boys love comics. So bujoshi, fujoshi. You'll see this as BL, boys love. Women who like comics depicting male homosexual love. Bujoshi janai kedo, chotto doki doki shite kichao yo. So she says that this is a very sweet, endearing moment. She doesn't normally like these types of stories. She's not a girl who's like a big fan of those, but it's got her heart beating. Um, and Ruka is saying, Mayuri, hen na souzo shinai de. Like, you've got a very strange imagination. Mataku da. And he's saying, yeah, she really, really does. Mayuri really does. Shite kanke toyu no wa jijitsu da ga na. However, this is what he would call, there's truth to the fact that this is a teacher-student relationship. Ore wa hōi kyōma to shite seikai ni wa bikoro habikiro, to become rampant. Imbo ya shihai kouzo shi, so shite sore to tatakau tame no hōhō nado o rukkako ni mind control motto ii kangaete kita. So he seems to be on the impression that, like, in order to his alter ego's mad scientist alter ego, which is Ho'oi Kyoma. So the whole world, to spread around the world, the plot to spread around the world, and the domination, the organization that dominate the world, so shite soreto, in order to fight back against the taking over of the world, the plot over the world, the methods like that he wants to do, and one of the methods is using mind control. Motoi kangaete kita. So either he thinks that Ruka can use a power of mind control, or he thinks that he is using mind control on Ruka, maybe. So it's again the Yoto, the magical sword, Yoto, Samidare, Unmen no kaiwa mo sono ikan de aru. It's part of that process, part of that chain. Ruka ko wa mitame wa tomokaku. So anyone, somehow or the other, the outward appearance of Ruka-kun is seikakuteki, the personality, the characteristics, ni wa totemo sunao dashi, so she's very meek and docile. Gambari ya da, somebody who battles on in difficult circumstances. So she's meek, and she does her best, does their best. Shikamo, moreover, iro kangaete hoshii to saisho ni iidashita no wa Ruka-ko no ho no hano dakara, chisho to shite wa jitsu ni kita kai ga aru deshi nano da. So because of the iro kai gate hoshi, moreover, the various things that he wants to think about, saisho ni iidashita no wa, so to bring up, to suggest, ruka go nakatta dakara, shisho to shite wa jitsu ni, drilling, training, kita e kai ga aru. It is kai ga aru, deshi nanoda. So I feel like he's saying all the training, it's been rewarding, it's been worthwhile. Um, Again, I think. Nomikomu, swallowed, understanding, comprehension wa sore hodo. So more than to the extent that understanding hayaku nai. Hayaku nai, not fast, toyonoto. So he's not saying that they picked this up fast. They're not. It's not been a quick comprehension. Hazu. Hazukashigari ya, a shy person. Hazukashigari ya nanode mada dere bashfulness dere ga aru to yu tokoro ga tamani kizu da ga. So the only trouble is how bashful they are. Sorede, regardless, kind of like sorede, thereupon, and why is Mayuri here? She's saying, I came to visit Ruka-kun. So next month, Raigetsu no komima. The komima is probably komima de komima. Komima. This is probably short for like some type of Comic-Con type thing. It might be Komimatsuri, like a comic festival. Komima de Raineto. This is the name of the very popular anime or manga. It's where the upa we got out of the gachapa machine. It's from that show. Raineto no Kirari-chan koso. Kirari-chan koso. So this must be a costume. Yeah, Kirari-chan, a character costume. No, shite hoshite zutto頼んでいるのにちょっとも OK してくれないんだよ. So I think they are making an outfit and they want Ruka-kun to wear, or they're getting help from Ruka-kun on this costume. And so they're like, she's asking or requesting noni, even though chotomo, even though not at all, okay, shite kurenai, but they haven't said yes yet. Yeah, so they want Luka-kun to dress up in this particular character, but they haven't said no yet, so they were coming back to see if they wouldn't give them the okay. And Ruka is saying, Datte, after all, cosplay suru nante, things like cosplay, talking about cosplay, nante, so things like cosplay suru nante, boku, as for, this is an interesting part too, so everything, this can go two ways. So there's a lot of ways to refer to yourself in Japanese. The most common, most polite is watashi. And then a lot of the other ones will be somewhat gendered, or they'll be based on like tenure or age. And so ore is kind of a masculine way to refer to yourself. Atashi, as opposed to watashi, is kind of a more feminine way. And boku, interestingly enough, is something that is, again, more of a male and more of a young male. So like maybe high school era male would say boku, and younger. And then once you became older, you might say ore. And again, this might be way off, but that's my current understanding. So despite this character really outwardly appearance being feminine and like the way they're talking, their mannerisms, everything is very feminine, they did choose to say boku when they're referring to themselves. So it's kind of an interesting decision. Obviously choiceful. They didn't say atashi or watashi. They said boku. And that could just be because they're young. And as far as like young people, kids, they will all say boku. It's not. It might have a little bit more of a lean towards a masculine lean, but a lot of kids will just say boku. So this could be a balance between a choiceful way of saying boku as in a masculine. It could just be more of a youthful way of saying I. So there's definitely like a mix there that I think it's not fair to make a decision yet on was that a choice on the character being young and still having that kind of childlike mindset, or is it a choice of them saying like outwardly I'm feminine, but I'm still going to refer to myself with a more masculine term? If I had to kind of put pressure on myself now, I would get more towards they're young at heart, and so they're using boku because it's a little bit young and cuter. But I don't know yet. But they're basically saying that it's embarrassing. They're too embarrassed or too shy to do cosplay. でも however ルカ君は絶対 completely 似合うと思うんだ. I think it suits you completely. I think you're perfect for cosplay.
こんな可愛い子が女の子のはずがないで大人気になるよねえしようよコスプレデビュー
こんな可愛い子 this kind of cute kid 女の子のはずがない it's impossible that this like it's impossible that this young woman, this girl is こんな可愛い子が女の子 has so they're saying like it's impossible that this young child is not a girl て大人気によるになるよ so saying people saying that 大人気 very popular 大人気になるよ so like it would be you'd be so popular everyone would be saying I can't believe this hyper cute kid is not a girl しようよ like you have to do it cosplay debut like your cosplay debut 前よりはコス作りが趣味で her hobby her pastime is making cosplay costumes これまで up till now 30着以上 no less than 30 no less 30 or more を自作してきたほどだが so although she's made over 30 outfits 自分で着ることはめったにない so she's made all these outfits she rarely does she wear them herself she seems more inclined to make costumes for other people so it's her hobby it's her favorite thing she does not wear the outfits 可愛く使ったコス so cosplay that was made cute cosplay making cute cosplay を誰か somebody に着こなしてもらうのが市場の喜びらしい so the thing that makes her happiest is somebody else basically giving her the gift doing her the honor of wearing her cutely made cosplay outfits that makes her the happiest で次のターゲットは her next target 選べれたのガルカコ so the next she chose her next target her next target was selected no ga rukako so as for her next target, no ga rukkako toyu wake da. It seems that toyu wake da. It's the case that rukkako is her next target. Mochiron Mayuri ga ima, and of course, right now, for Mayuri, zesan, high praise, zesan, sakusei chu no kozu wa onna kyara no mono de aru. So, of course, what she's doing is high praise, drawing in preparation no cosplay wa kawaii kyara no mono de aru. And of course, based on everything we know about her, the next, she's chosen her target of who she wants to dress up. And of course, she's working on some very cute girl character cosplay. Otoko no rukkako ga sore o kitagara nai kimochi wa otoko no rukkako ga sore o kita. What is going on? Yomichan has crashed. No! What do I have to do? Not Yomichan. Okay, we're gonna lose that. We're just gonna relaunch, update everything. Maybe that's gonna have something to do with it. Apologies for the break. I've got to reorganize all these things here in a second. Relaunch to update. Relaunch. Your tabs will reopen. Hi-ya. I don't need this anymore. Okay, so we move this up here. I don't need to extend it. We make it larger so that we can read. We are going to miss out on what we had just said. So basically, kitagara nai kimochi wa. So I think he's saying wakaru yo de wakaranai na. Without having the ability to reload this text on here so I can read it. So he's saying like kitagara nai. So the Luka ko boy Luka sore o kitagara nai kimochi wa. So as for the feeling of not dressing like a boy, maybe wakaru yo de wakaranai. So I think maybe it's just like I don't really understand. And okay, this works good. Ima mo futsu ni miko fuku o kiteiru gurai dashi, joso ni wa teiko ga nakattari suru no kamoshiren. So he's like, maybe they're fine wearing the shrine maiden clothes, but like wearing women's clothes outside of that, like maybe they just don't like doing that. Deyaranare ba, like if that's the case, cosplay mo so taishite kawaranai ki ga suru ga. So he's kind of saying like, I don't understand the difference. Like, why would that be the problem? She's already wearing, the girl's outfit for her work. Naomo, that's a new one. As ever, Rukkako ni semateiru mayuri yo. So, to approach, to draw near, to be imminent, to compel. So, mayuri o. So the mayuri that is continuing to approach or to press the mayuri. Ore wa tame iki o tsuki tsuzu seishi shita. So he's taking a breath. He's continuing to take a breath so that he can stay in control. Sonna kudaranai koto wa Ato de yarunda na. So he's saying like, just can you do that after? Like I'm in the middle of my thing right now.
マユシンにとっては大事なことだもん。
And she's just like, what? My thing is it's an important thing.
俺にとってはくだらないことなのだ。
Ore ni totte, from my standpoint, it's a trifling thing.
それよりルカ子、俺がこの神社を訪ねたのは他でもお祓いを頼みたいのだがやってもらえないだろうか。
Sore yori, apart from that, Rukako yo, ore ga kono jinja o tazuneta no wa hoka demo nai. So, hoka demo nai. What I want to say, the fact of the matter, none other than the I paid a visit to this shrine. Basically, I'm here on shrine business. O harai o tanomitai no da ga. I'm asking what I'm wanting to ask. What I'm begging is for an exorcism. Yatte moraenai daro ka. You should be able to do that.
お祓いですか？だったらお父さんに。
Oharai, so an exorcism, a purification. Dattara, if that's the case, my dad.
いや、そこまで大げさにしなくて気休めでいいのだ。
Yeah, like no. Sokomade, we don't need to go that far. Oge-sa ni suru, oge-sa ni shinakute ii. It's okay if we don't go all the way to that extent. We don't have to get your dad. Kiyasume de ii no da. It's more of just like a consolation. Like, you don't have to go through the whole official thing. I just more for my peace of mind. Dakara, shinden myojin de wa naku, kochi no jinja ni kite wakeda shina. So, wakeda shina. Wakeda. Oh, we reloaded. That's not the only reason he came, basically, to this shrine.
例のあれを持ってこい。
というわけで例のあるを持ってこい。例のある The usual, as it always is, ある例のあれを持ってこい。What you have there is fine.
例のあれと言いますと、さみだれですか？
It's saying what we got there, and so she's like the sword of like the summer rain thing. And she's like, yeah, that's fine.
違う。お祓いに用途は必要ないだろう。お祓いと言ったらあれに決まっている。
違う。No. お祓いに用途は必要ないだろう。It's not that we need the mystical sword, the magical sword. お祓いと言ったらあれを決まっている。It's like, I just need you to say that I'm purified. And it's very confusing to her.
正式な名称はわからんが、棒に白い紙がふさふさとついていて、神主がわさわさと振るやつだ。
正式 the official formality, 名称はわからんが I don't know the official formal name for it. Bowl, it's a stick. Bowl ni shiroi kami, a stick with white paper ga fuse to tsuite ite, like it's a stick with white paper attached to it. 神主がわせわせと増えるやつだ。So they shake this stick with white paper on it. Like that's what I'm looking for.
今のオカリンの説
she's laughing that right now Okarin's no my explanation. Yutori boy, it's basically like poi is like ish, as she's saying, like it's really vague, really big vague explanation, I think is what we're getting at. Mayuri ni awareru, so what she said wa no wa kekko shocked. He's absolutely shocked at what she just said. He can't believe it.
おほぬさですね。でもお父さん貸してくれるかな。
So she's saying, the onesa, onusa desu ne. Oh, that's the onusa, a streamer attached to a long pole used in purification. So the name of that thing is an onusa. We'll add that. Demo, otosan kashite kure kana. I wonder if he'll let me borrow that. I wonder if my dad will let me borrow that. Hold on, I'll go ask. Rukako wa matta pekkori to. So they bowed their head, and shikichina, they went into the grounds, the site where they are. Ni aru ie e hayaashi de kakete ita. So they quickly ran back to the house. Mayuri wa toyuto. When it comes to speaking about Mayuri, bagu kara, from her bag, kaichu doke, a pocket watch, toridashi, she took out a pocket watch, jikan o kakunin shiteiru, she's checking the time. Sore wa imadoki no joshikosei wa mochiso ni nai. It doesn't seem like the type of thing that a high school girl carries like nowadays. Totemo furumekashi mono da. It's a very old thing. Not very modern, not very cool. Maybe he'd be more expected that she would have like a Tamagotchi. Namae wa Kaichu toyu. Kaichu. So the name of this pocket watch is Kaichu. Mochiro Mayuri ga katte ni, as one pleases, mei shita dake de. So of course Mayuri named it as she pleases, as she always does. Betsu ni shohime toka souyu wake de wa nai. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have an actual name, but this one's called Kaichu because, as is the trend with Mayuri, she's just naming things in a kind of her own style. Kono Kaichu o Mayuri ga shougakusei no goro kara, so from grade school, from elementary school, hadami hanasazu, so carrying close to one's person. Hada mi hanasazu, so without separating it from your skin, like that's how closely you hold on to it. Mochi aruiteiru koto o ore wa shiteiru. So he's kind of like known that she's had this always with her since grade school. Mayuri ni totte wa, so speaking of, from the standpoint of Mayuri, speaking of Mayuri, ni totte, as far as Mayuri is concerned, nani yori, more than anything else, taisetsu na takaramono da. So outside of anything else, this is her most important treasure.
じゃあマユシーはこれからバイトだからもう行くね。
じゃあMayushi wa kore kara, from here, baito da kara. So from here, mo iku ne. So it's already not too long. Soon I've gotta leave. I've gotta go. So she's saying that from here, from this point on, it's because it's her part-time job. So that's basically she's saying like, oh, I have got to go to work soon. But the way that it's a very interesting kind of thing of like the way that you might say that versus the way that it was written in Japanese. I always talk about this with learning is that if I were to write the sentence, oh, I have to go to work soon, the way I would translate that myself, I would never approach this construction. This is potentially just a more natural way of saying it. I would not naturally write it this way. And that's why reading things in like that are written by native Japanese with an audience intended to be native Japanese is very important because this would make perfect sense. Nobody would think twice about this. So the first thing, ja is just a really quick, weird short. That's not even a word by itself. This is not a word by itself. Ja is just well then, like, it's just a noise. It's not always going to need to be translated as like, well, you can, but it's a filler word to the most part. Adding the in front of it is, again, it's not, it's just a quirky thing. Nja, well, ma yushi. The other part of Japanese is we often refer to ourselves and others by actual name. If you were referring to somebody else, you would use some type of honorific, like okarin-kun, okarin-san. But when you're talking about yourself, it would be very egotistical I would not call myself kurisu-san. That is just too much. Or Chudrock-san. That's too much. I wouldn't do that. But you would just refer to yourself, because again, the context is so important. If Mayuri were just to say like, oh, from here, if she were just to say kore kara baito dakara, I would probably assume that she meant she has a part-time job soon. But you could, in theory, go, she knows my schedule. That could be saying like, oh yeah, isn't your part-time job starting soon? And because we don't want to have any confusion, we're adding in the mayushi. So as mayushi wa, as for mayushi, who's me, we're speaking in the third person because it's just a part of Japanese grammar. Kore kara, from here. So this is from now on, after this, in the future, kore kara, baito dakara. Dakara is that's the reason, and the construction, they call it subject, object, verb versus subject, verb, object languages. So English is a subject, verb, object. Like, I washed the car, I walked the dog, I ate a sandwich. It's the subject, me, I did this thing. The verb, I ate, I ran, I walked, I whatever it is, and then the object, the car. What did I eat? What did I wash? What did I walk? Whereas in Japanese, it's subject, object, verb. You start with the subject. In this case, mayuri wa, and we're marking that with the wa particle. I'm talking about mayushi, and the object here is the baito, and the verb is iku. So it's very simplest. This whole sentence is just saying mayushi wa baito iku. But to add more explanation and more context, we're putting in the dakara. So what we know is this dakara is the way when you're reading it like straight through without going through the whole sentence back and forth, which I do a lot when I'm reading Japanese, is I kind of go back and forth between the end of the sentence to the middle so that I can help contextualize the meaning for myself. I look at dakara and say, because of this, or that's the reason why. So this is the reason. So mayushi wa kore kara baito dakara. So actually, because I have my part-time job is soon. Because of that, because my part-time job is soon, mo iku ne. I need to leave soon. Because my part-time job is soon, I actually have to leave. I have to leave soon. So it's a very, again, I would I write this if I were to say that? I wouldn't have 20 minutes ago. Now that I've gone through this and read this, it's like, oh, if I need to say something along those lines of like, oh, I should leave soon. Mo iku ne, mo iku ne. I now understand that's a pretty natural way of saying like, oh, I should, I need to leave soon. I should leave soon. Also, a thing that doesn't really, there are other ways to say should, but we haven't. But then there's just like, oh, I will leave soon. I'm leaving soon. But now understanding that if I were to say that and I wanted to give a reason, I'd be like, oh, dakara mo iku ne. And so if I needed to put something in there, whatever's my reasoning to leave soon. Oh, it's getting late. Because it's getting late, I'm going to leave soon. Because I'm tired, I'm going to leave soon. So this has now given me a more natural way that I might build a sentence like this. The only thing that I always like to keep track of, I'm going to add this to my stream. Oh, that's in the middle of that. That's a way that I could think about how to construct that. And it's going to be more natural than if I were to do it the way that I would expect to think to. Something that people give a lot is like the stop thinking in English when you're learning Japanese, and it's very hard, and especially early on, that doesn't make sense. It's like, what do you mean stop thinking in English? Like, I have to think in English. I don't know Japanese yet. And the real advice there that just takes a while to kind of understand what it means is because you start off and you're so convinced because everything you learn is translated into English, and it's pretty one-to-one. But the more Japanese you learn, the more you encounter things that don't translate well. The way that something is constructed or said in Japanese and the way that something is constructed or said in English doesn't carry over. So you have to start to understand these kind of grammar structures and go, oh, saying something like this requires me to use this grammar. Or if I want to say something like this, or if I'm going to say something like this in Japanese, I need to follow this kind of template for how that's said, because otherwise it's not natural and it won't make sense. And so it gets back to that. Oh, and you see this all the time. Like, I want to say that, like, I want to say, how are you doing? Cool as a cucumber. I want to say cool as a cucumber in Japanese. It's like, you can translate cool as a cucumber. It's not going to make any sense whatsoever. And so you're better suited to find what is a phrase in Japanese that means the same thing, and I'll use that. But I can't take my, like, English slang or English construction and assume that it can just be one-to-one translated. That's where you get into what's called localization. There's translation, which is just verbatim, word for word, and then there's localization, which is what's going to make sense to the English or Japanese speaker. And a lot of the jokes that we have, mistranslations of Japanese content that's made its way over, is usually poor localization. The most famous example I know of is in Pokemon, the first season, Brock is sharing his famous jelly donuts with the group. Those are not jelly donuts. They do not look like jelly donuts. It was a very confusing thing for a lot of American kids going, why does that jelly donut look so weird? He had rice balls. He had onigiri. Well, they can't say onigiri. That's a Japanese word. That doesn't make any sense. People in 1996 or 97 or whatever, they had no idea what an onigiri is unless they're Japanese, and they certainly don't know what a rice ball is. You could have called it a rice ball, and kids could have done the research and figured out what that meant, and that would have been fine. But instead, you can confuse the whole generation of kids because Brock was giving them onigiri rice balls and saying, "These are my famous jelly donuts." That's localization. You can't just try to force fit things. You have to try to make it so that it makes sense. They felt, we'll say jelly donuts, kids know what that means. Kids know what that means. And it really just confused people. Poor localization. Moving on. So he's saying, okay. Gambatte koi. You do your best. Do your best. Te koi. Baito ga owattara, after your job is finished. chokusetsu kaeru no ka? Are you coming right home? Are you coming straight back after your part-time job is over? And she very enthusiastically says, yes. Mayuri no jika, her parents' home wa Ikebukuro ni aru. So this is Ikebukuro is probably what that's going to be. It's not pond bag. It's Ikebukuro ni aru. So her parents' house is in Ikebukuro. That's where she lives. But that's where he's saying, is that where you're going to go? Hobo mainichi. Almost every day. Hobo mainichi. Almost every day. Soko kara, from there. Denshi de akiba made kiteiru no da. So, from Ikebukuro, just nearly every day, she takes the train to Akihabara. She comes to Akihabara via the train. Chinamini, by the way, Chinamini, and this is something we just looked at. This character, they're not using it when they're using Chinamini, but this, the person in the box, there was, when I was studying my cards, that was coming up as Yoru, to be connected with, incidentally. Yoru, and also Chinamini. Yeah. That's why I get confused by it sometimes. Chinamini, in this way, Osanajimi, this childhood friend, toyu gurai dakara, ore no jika mo Ikebukuro da. So basically saying, like, and because we're childhood friends, you know, from like way back when, because of dakara, again, because of the fact that, related to that, because of the fact that we are childhood friends, my parents' house is also in Ikebukuro, where they're both from Ikebukuro. Natsuyasumi ni haite kara no ore wa. So from the entering in the summer vacation, zutto rabu ni tomari komu da ga na. So since summer vacation started, rather than going back to Ikebukuro, he's basically been staying at the lab pretty much full time. というわけで So that's shown up a few times. I swear that I was looking up というわけで and it showed up as a full. Yeah, というわけで. So we're just using it as saying that's not always the case, or it doesn't mean that. というわけで maybe is saying that is the case. If that's the case, また明日ね. This wasn't showing up as a so it's wake de wa nai is it's not that. So I'm gonna have to go on a limb here and say that even though it's not showing up as a grammar point, yeah, and it's showing up as a high level grammar point. Toyu wake da, and they're saying toyu wake desu. But my guess is that this is when they're saying this, they're saying if that's the case. Or yep, that's, of course, you know, toyuwake de. Toyuwake de is a good one. I'm going to put that here too, because I think I need to do a little bit more. There are things you can learn and say that give you more natural sounding Japanese, and that's either going to make it seem like you're very fluent. You know, a person who's just learned out of a textbook and only learned out of a textbook may not use certain phrases or say certain things, and then if you've learned through conversation or talking or you know, immersing in a lot of native material, you would use and say other things, and that is often would be perceived as being more fluent. So there are people I have heard who are not necessarily hyper fluent in Japanese. They can't read well, they can't write, but they have spoken a lot of Japanese in like video games and online groups, and so conversationally they can hear and speak at a very casual level, but as soon as you were to say like, oh, let's watch the news or let's watch a show, they wouldn't necessarily be able to understand or pick up all of that. They're more in tune to like how to speak about like, oh, hey, what's going on? What you do today? Oh, that's cool. Do you want to do blah blah blah? So they've learned enough to get it by through a conversation very well, but there's this broader world of Japanese that they're not super up to speed on, and there are certain, if you want to cheat and sound more fluent than you are, things like that, being able to say like toyu wake de, and there's another one, naruhodo, are things like that that come. If you drop those in, people will be like a little shocked or surprised. You know, you're not going to be doing those like YouTube videos where it's just kind of like, you know, white person drops Japanese and surprises everybody at the konbini. But there are certain things. I was at a place and I was doing my best in Japan to speak Japanese as much as I could. And we went somewhere and I was asking about something, and there were all these people working at the shop doing various things. And I asked about something because I wasn't sure if it was available, if you could buy it. Like, was this just something that was just on display, or could you actually buy it? And I asked, like, you know, kono akai kaban kaimasu ka? Can you buy that red bag? Is that bag able to be bought? And they said yes. And my response, because I was just so used to having conversations with my teacher, was, sugoi. And they, like, burst out laughing. And, like, literally to one another, which is like, sugoi. Like, they couldn't believe I said sugoi, which is very strange to me. But again, the context of how people learn Japanese and English, they probably don't realize that my teacher, when I was learning in college, my teacher said sugoi all the time. It was just what she said. If you got an answer right, you'd get your worksheets back, and she'd write sugoi if you did well. And so that's a word that was like very ingrained in me from a very long time ago. But it was just it was like a shock to hear me say sugoi. Maybe there were other nuances to why it was so shocking, but my assumption was that it was just not a word they expected me to use, because it was a little bit more of a, I don't know, not a more natural word, I guess. And a lot of people that show up are speaking like a Google Translate. They're speaking like a textbook. And if you don't sound like you're talking from a textbook, it kind of can surprise people. Anyhow, if that's the case, see you tomorrow. Tota tota. Tota tota. This isn't showing up. Tota tota. So it's probably just her, the sound of her running away, her shoes. Tota tota to. Kakeda so to suru ma yuri. So seeming to take a run off, to start running away. Ma yuri o yobi tometa. So she ran off saying that. So that's what she said as she was running off. So I guess he yelled for her to stop. He was just like, "Hey, hold on," as she started running off. He asked her to stop. Mayuri, omae wa ano toki, that time, radio kante, that time at the radio building. Otoko no hime yo kita yo na. Like, did you hear a man scream? Hime? Again, a scream? Mayuri wa me o nantoka shibatakase. She blinked her eyes several times. Kome kami, and then to the temple of her head, kome kami. Hitosashi yubi o atate sukoshi kangaeru yona. What did she do? Shigusa o shita. So she blinked her eyes and she started putting her finger to the top of her head, as though she were thinking, as though she were kind of really thinking about this. So shite itsumo no, this, you know, and then thus itsumo no, this is a usual, is the typical, her usual hohoemi o ukabeta, and she showed her usual smile. She does this and smiles her usual normal smile. それっていつのこと？いつのこと？ When? それってwhen?
今日の昼だ。
今日の昼だ. Today, around noon.
聞いてないか
She's saying, I don't think I heard it.
わかった。だったね。
He's like, oh, okay, I understand. If that's the case, that's fine. That's good.
変なオカリ
And she's saying like, oh, you're being so strange, Okari.
トゥットゥルー
Chane. Again, this is one of those words. It's not really a word, but just comes up a lot. Chane. Anyhow, we use a lot of those filler words. Like, well, okay. Well, so, Chane. Totoro, totoru. Her little song she sings, a little melody. Mayuri wa tori o kugutte tsugata ga mienaku naru made. So until her figure, she walked under the torii gates, went through the torii gates until he couldn't see her any longer. Ore no nando mo kai furikaete wa te o furi tsuzukeru. So she kept waving and turning her head back until she couldn't be seen. So she's just a very goofy person.
岡部さんお待たせしました
Thank you for waiting. This is a very formal omatese shimashita. So it says thank you for waiting. Sorry to keep you waiting. The omataseru. So when you get to that verb form, the aseru, it's the like having made somebody or like causing something to happen. And so this is saying like, oh, you were made to wait. You were made to have to wait. And that can be interpreted as like, oh, I'm sorry, I kept you waiting, or thank you because you were made to be waiting, and you did, and I thank you for that. But that's just kind of like omatese shimashita. You were made to be waiting. Yeah, it was. And it's kind of like a very polite normal way to say like, I'm acknowledging that, and I'm sort of apologizing, but mostly just acknowledging it. Ire kawari, a substitution, de rukako o modote kuru, to come back. So ruka has come back. Ire kawari de, so with a replacement, with a substitution. Ruka's come back. Te ni wa shiroe fuse no aru. Even though I just learned what that was called, I am still thinking about it as just that white stick with the flags on it.
借りることができましたよかったです
Kariru koto. I was able to borrow it. Koto ga dekiru. That's another one. Because you could say kariru, you could make that into the verb form of able to, which is the eru. Karireru would be what that would be, I believe. Karireru would just be able to borrow. But we've nominalized it with koto. Kariru koto. So borrowing it ga dekimashita. Borrowing it was a thing I was able to do. So again, one of those things where would I have said it that way? Probably not. The nuance here is more natural. It's better. So it's another one of those sentences where like just reading that and just going like, it's probably better in this context to make something a koto. Kariru koto ga. I left under the premise that I was going to see if I could borrow something. Oh, about borrowing that thing, I was going to go borrow something, I was able to do that. Yokatta desu. Yokatta desu. Yokatta you see a lot. It means basically it was good. Was good. Yokatta. It was nice. Yokatta desu. It's
まゆりちゃんは帰ったんですか？
kaitan desu ka? If you were to translate yokatta desu, you wouldn't necessarily translate that to it was good. Technically, literal translation is was good. I was able to borrow this. Borrowing this, I was able to. It is was good. It is was good, which doesn't make any sense. Yokatta desu is really just more of a way of just being like, it's a good thing. It's great. Good news. Good news. A lot of ways you could localize that to be something, but like it wouldn't necessarily translate it to like that's good. But a lot of times you'd see that like, oh, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Oh, that's good. Yokatta. That's good. So it's just very similar to the way we use good in a lot of different ways. Are, huh? Mayuri-chan wa kaitan desu ga? Kaitan desu ka? Did she leave? So again, we get to this ndesu. We've gone over this before. Ndesu. It's a way that you would give the sentence a nuance of I am asking a question and I'm kind of curious about getting more details, more like a reason. And so the response to this could be, oh yeah, she had a part-time job. So it could be like, oh, baito ndesu. So the explanation for this, or I'm like, Mayuri's gone. Did she leave? And that just gives it that nuance of just kind of like, I kind of want to know if she left or not. Like, otherwise, if it's just kind of like, oh, Mayuri left. I don't have to say anything to that statement. I just be like, yeah, you noticed. So she's more than just saying she noticed. She's kind of like, oh, did she leave? Did she go back home? She's curious. And of course, a normal person would give you the reason why that person left, but Okarin, or right now he's is this Hoin? He's still going by his stupid, goofy name. Hoin. Or maybe this is the Rintaro. Mayuri wa doudemo ii kara. It doesn't matter. She doesn't matter. Imasugu. Quickly. O harai o hajimeru no rukako. Like, Mayuri doesn't matter. We have to start the ritual. Like, we have to start the ritual now.
はい、僕でいいんでしょうか。そもそも何に対するお祓いを？
はい。僕でいいんでしょうか? Are you sure, like, it's okay if I do this? そもそも in the first place, 何に対するお祓いを? What are we, like, what is this exorcism in relation to? Rukako wa oro oro shiteiru. So she's confused. That's a new one too. Oro oro shiteiru. Tayorinai na. Unreliable. Tayorinai na to. Fuan ni kanjita ore wa. So, helpless or vague. So it's probably not unreliable, but like vague, helpless. To an fu an ni kanjita ore. So I was feeling. I think I'm feeling this uneasy, this vague uneasiness. Sono chokugo ni. So that immediately following that, ni zoku ぞっくりと寒気を覚えた. So he was able to 気を覚えた that cold feeling. So zokuri zokuri again, we looked this up. It had all these definitions, but it's not going to be any of those. It was like a sharp coldness. So he's just like, what are you exercising? And then he immediately starts thinking back, and he's just he remembers this, like, with vague an uneasiness. He's remembering this, like, sharp, cold feeling, basically, right after that. What the heck is going on? Toritsuita. So something is haunting him. Akuryoga. So he's putting on a little bit of theatrics here, but he's saying, like, there's I'm being haunted by an evil spirit. Buru buru, and he's trembling. Tofu eru mizukara okarin. Okarin. Oh, 1 second. Welcome back, Turnus. Okarin ga chunigyo. Yeah, he's a weirdo. I don't know if you were here yesterday, but he's been doing some crazy, weird stuff. He's a goofball. Buruburu to furu to mizukara no tekubi o tsukamu. Yeah. That's the kanji for Rintaro. Rintaro. It doesn't let you know. But yeah, Rintaro. I like that despite him not liking that name, the game just lets you know that that's Rintaro. He goes by 3 names, which I also enjoy. Not by his choice, he goes by those names. Buru Buru. So with trembling with trembling. Oh really? JMN edict. Okay. I think I have to dictionaries. Yeah, I would have to install that. I'd have to find JMN edict. Yeah, I have to go and find. I have to download it. I'll do that tomorrow. Names still throw it off. Throw me off. I still run to them. I can't do anything with them, and it's coming up not just with names. It does that with place names as well as people names. Oh, I might have the link thing turned off, so you can't send a link. You might have to cheat the system by typing out without the dots. Just say like the URL and then dot. Whatever, if it's JP or whatnot. So with shaking with it's a long Google Drive. You might be able to send it as an actual message to me, but if not, I'm sure I'll be able to find it. If it's too much of a trouble. So with shaking himself, he grabs his own wrist. I think he grabs his own wrist. Oh no. Let me go see. I had somebody else say they were going to whisper me. Privacy center. No, that's something different. Where's my personal settings? I'm off screen for a setting. I'm going to make sure that I can receive messages. I had somebody else who wanted to send me a message, and I guess they weren't able to. Oh my gosh. Enable privacy. Yeah. Story mentions block whispers from strangers. Okay, I have turned off blocking whispers from strangers. All right. That's the wrong one. I should now. Maybe it takes a little second, but I should be allowed. I should be allowed to get messages. Awesome. Oh yeah, there it goes. Popped up. Thank you. Hopefully, I had somebody else named Kuma that was here, the Japanese person that was on stream a couple of end of last week, and I was like, send me a message and blah blah blah, and they never sent a message, so I didn't realize it was because I didn't let them. Anyhow, I'm putting on some theatrics here. Shizumare, be quiet, quiet down. Akumayo, akuryo, the evil spirit. Isogeru kako. Quickly, hurry. Kono mama de wa. If you leave everything as it is, if we don't do anything, ore wa no torareru. If you don't do anything, kono mama de wa. If you leave everything as is, I'll be taken over.
そんな岡部さんしっかりしてください。
そんなOkabe-san, shikkari shite kudasai. Please hold on.
俺は岡部さんではない。
He's saying, I'm not Okabe.
すいません、京馬さん。でも僕どうしたら
What should I do? I'm sorry, Kyoma. But what should I do?
お払いを急げ。この前教えた通りにやればいい。
So again, he's saying, hurry. The exorcism, the purification. Kono mae, oshieta tori, yareba ii. Before, recently, I taught you the way. I taught you how. It would be good if you did that. Yareba ii. Eba ii. So again, if you do the eba as a verb, it becomes like it's an if. Eba. And then if you add e, it becomes it would be good if you did whatever that verb is. So it would be good. You should do that. It would be good if you did that. If you did that, it would be a good thing. Eba. People say ba form. But yeah, it's a conditional. It's a conditional form. Ba. Daro. Ba if then. Ba if then. Conditional. So all these different ways you would turn it into a ba. Basically, you change whatever the last bit of the for the Goldan style verbs, you turn it to e. Ba is its own grammar point in N4. And this is N4, so ba, and then you get ba e as well. So ba is a good one. It's if something, and I just went through this because I had written a sentence not too long ago, and it was the. Did I have that somewhere? E ba versus nara. I talked to my teacher about that because I had used one, and I was curious about the nuance between those two. I think I lost it. The explanation that I had written, but ba is specifically. Tara, to. There's a lot of conditional, and there are very subtle nuances. I bet if we go down here, it'll go through and show. Yeah, tara, nara, to, moshi, ba, hodo. There are a lot of different bits of shift in what that means. Some of them are causal. So, if we look at some of these, it is if it's not spicy, I can eat a lot of it. If you aren't a truck driver, you couldn't understand. So some of them are the statements are highly related. And there was something that I had done where I had written, I had used ba, I believe, and I should have used nara. Because nara is if, but it's more of a, it's more of a because it's a version of an abbreviation of nara ba, it is used when making guesses about what may or could happen in situations. So there's a little bit of nuance there. Again, sometimes, like you were saying, the confidence of like something's going to happen or not, or it's like a definite going to happen, and so there is some level of like if you were to read that and say, oh, it means if, it does and it doesn't. So there's a little bit of specificity that you have to piece together for that. But he's saying like it'd be good if you did that now. And yes, we're going to ruka ko wa shinken na, with earnestness, earnestly, hyojo, an earnest facial expression, ni nari. So ruka has put on a very stern, serious facial expression. O nusa, the stick that they have in their hand. O ryote de, so with both hands, with the stick. De gyuto, there. What is this? Firmly, tightly holding it. They are. I love when this happens. They're tightly holding it. So there's make no mistakes. There's a lot of double ups. Ba is really hypothetical. To is more certain because the particle sums up things. Yeah, there's a lot. What I like about the I've got Nihongo JLPT Somatome, the Somatome books for JLPT practice. Oftentimes they will take a lot of those related grammar points and they will put them in the same chapter. What I don't like is they don't teach you the differences between them. You'll just learn that, oh, that means if, that one means if, and that one means if. And again, those aren't textbooks, so you're supposed to do a little bit more research. But I like that they keep everything in one place. And that's the same reason I like Boom Pro, because all the related content is down here, these synonyms. So it's very easy to go back and say, what makes this different from this, or this? And sometimes you go and you find an article. So I bet, if we go to resources, there is, ba versus nara, comparing ba and tara. Hypothetical conditionals. A lot of these will probably conditional form. Japanese amo no misa desu. So there's probably a lot of the distinctions between how to use them. And I always like going through here and reading through some of this to really get a better understanding of what's going on. And if you've got the textbooks, they also tell you what page to go to on the textbook. I like Boom Pro. I have not paid. I think I paid for it for a very little bit, but I realized that I didn't want to do grammar as flashcards because I would have been doing that, and my problem with it, and it's not something that happens for everybody, but the quiz you'll get is basically, they'll blank that part out and you type it in, and I started learning the sentences and the grammar and context of the sentence, and I would recognize the sentence, but I wouldn't remember the grammar right away. I would just be like, oh yeah, the ashita ame ga fu, that's fureba. But if I had to sit there and say, well, what does that mean? What is the grammar? I wasn't piecing that together. I just started recognizing and learning sentences, and it wasn't helping me reinforce the grammar. So I stick to studying just vocabulary, and I reinforce my grammar through reading. But this point here is one of my favorite parts about Japanese, is that redundancy to really, really drive the point home. It's not enough to use the verb for grasping tightly. We're also qualifying that by saying forcefully, tightly, firmly grabbing tightly, like we're really, really grabbing this tightly with both hands. Oh, listening too. I had not done that part. I recently saw they did a huge update. A lot of this is all on a single scroll now, and it used to be 3 separate sections. So I have not explored it. Maybe once I get back into, I think August or so, I'm gonna jump back into really doing JLPT study again, because I'll probably be signing up for the JLPT again for my third time. The N2 is very challenging, so if you've ever taken it or you thought about taking it and you're worried about failing it, that's honestly, if you pass it on your first time, you're either very good at Japanese, or you got, you studied really hard. And if you don't feel like you're very good at Japanese and you pass, it's possible just to get lucky. But I've taken it twice now, and it's just it's a very challenging test. The reading comprehension is especially difficult. I've done well on listening. I've always done pretty good with listening, but it's the I've done those a lot. The actual test is a little bit different, but I like going through and doing as much drilling as possible to get really used to the style and the questions and what you do and don't know. You obviously can't prepare for everything, but I intend to take it again this year. Outside of some really crazy circumstances, I should be taking it again, which means once August rolls around, I'll sign up for the test and I'll jump back into to studying pretty aggressively through a lot more reading. But the reading that's specific for JLPT is very different from the reading for doing a visual novel. But this is all super helpful. I don't want to diminish the value that I'm getting out of reading manga and reading visual novels. It's a huge value. But JLPT reading stuff is very like, I'm going to write an essay, or you're going to be reading an essay about this person and their thoughts on people being too loud on the train. It's kind of dry. It's kind of dull. It's a little bit specific, and you're really just learning how to determine, what do they think about it? Do they think it's just normal behavior for high schoolers, and that's what they did when they were a kid? Do they think it's very rude, and that what do they think we should do about it? That's the part of the comprehension that really comes into play. I've done that too. So I found a couple of sites, I'm sure you know, where I've been able to turn subtitles off and just watch shows. That was my favorite part about being in Japan, is I was able to just turn on the TV and just watch the news and watch whatever anime came on. And I was surprised at how well I could figure out what's going on just from what I know and what I knew at the time. I will say that what was quite easy, surprisingly to me, was there was a Yu-Gi-Oh episode. They've done so much stuff. I've never watched Yu-Gi-Oh. I never played Yu-Gi-Oh. But Yu-Gi-Oh came on, and I was just like, I actually know everything they're saying. That felt really good. But I had, just earlier that day, there were only 12 channels when I was there. They have not added that many more channels. You had to cycle through the same 12. And I couldn't find a way to see the schedule to see what was going to be on. But it was a trip. Oh, it's the first Wednesday of the month, which means they're testing the sirens. So apologies if you're hearing sirens. And if you can hear my fan, let me know. My fan's running, and hopefully it's not too audible, because my room gets a little too hot. Anyhow, Maru de, entirely, completely. Seigan, holding one's sword pointed towards the opponent. Yeah, no, it's probably mine. Kamaeta. So the appearance, the posture. So their posture is they're holding the sword like that. I looked into Kendo lessons once. I had a teacher in my Japanese class at university who taught us some of the early forms of Kendo. There's a couple of 2 or 3 forms we walked through. It's a series of movements and all that, and it was really interesting. So the stance she's taking is very much like a Kendo stance. Naka, very much, considerably. Funiki ga deteiru, so that the mood has become, the ambiance, the aura, the feel has considerably increased, has come out. So again, that could be that it's left, that the ambiance or the mood has dissipated in terms of it's gotten very serious, or that the seriousness of the situation has come out. Either way, it's tense.
えっと
And she's very much just kind of going, Kao o ma ka. So, face, fully red, bright red. Ni shite, awashite iru. Awashite iru. Awashite iru. Let's see what we can't find. Awashite, awashi. Imi ya tsukuikatta. Ta. Aji ya iro nado usui mata hokano de aru. Yomikata. In a fluster, in a panic. Awa. Yeah, I don't know why that doesn't want to... Okay. Awashi teiru. So she's bright red, it's in a panic. Luca is. More updated version of Jam Dick. Okay, I need to update. I don't know where mine is. I just downloaded whatever. I'll look that site you have that you sent earlier, and I'll make sure I get a couple of more dictionaries in there, especially for the names. It's going to be really helpful. Nanika iyoto shiteiru. So nanika, something. Say something. She's trying to say something. However, chucho shiteiru rashi. It seems like there's a hesitation. Tera, bashfulness no seide, because of the bashfulness. Panikuteiru no ka. I wonder if it's because they're panicked. Mijo kumono me. They're a novice. They're a green hand. They're nervous because they're panicked, or they're nervous because they're good at this. And now I'm... So he's saying again, please drive this demon from out of me. And he's saying, I don't want you to kill me. Kuroshitakunai. Oh, he's saying, I don't want to kill you. He's basically saying, if this demon comes out of me, if you don't do this, like, I'll kill you. I don't want to do that. Kuroshitakunai. I don't want to kill you. Guy's a psychopath. Scaring poor Rukako. Namida kunda. She's come to tears. That Luca's come to tears. I'm going to keep messing up pronouns for Ruka. And that's just going to keep happening. Skoshi shinpai ni natte kita. So, Okarin's gotten a little bit nervous. So, Ruka is crying, and he's just like, oh, I'm a little bit worried now. Koitsu ga, this person, Koitsu ga, otoko da to, they're a boy, but rise de wa wakatteiru no da ga, rise de, omoe da to rise de, so, de wa, wakatteiru, I understand, however, sono karen sugiru, so there's just too much, they're too sweet, they're too cute. Yoshino seide, but because of the fact that their appearance, that their face is just too cute, like I understand that this is a boy, but because their face is too cute, I read that's Hane. Yeah, ka yowai. Wow, that's an interesting one. Yowai, I know. Ka yowai. Yeah. Ka yowai. Sono, it's because it's too cute, due to the fact that they're too cute, overly cute, far too cute. Kayowai onanoko o nakaseta yona zaioku kan ga aru. So because they're so cute, he's feeling guilty, even though he understands that it's a boy. So I guess he's saying if he made a boy cry, it wouldn't bother. But even though he understands that they're a boy, but because their appearance is just too cute, causing them to cry is giving him feelings of guilt. Daga Ruka go wa me ni namida o tame nagara mo. So while they are their eyes are filling up with tears. Kakugo o kimeru, so he's preparing himself for the worst. Luca says, evil spirit. O nusa o sujou ni takadaka to kakage. So they're raising the stick far above their head. And Sayu is one that I always get mixed up. Sayu, left and right. I always want to say like Hidari Migi, but it's Sayu. Sayu e fuwa yurasu. Starts swinging it left to right. Yurasu. So, Okabe janakute, you're not Okabe. Kyoma-san kara, from Kyoma. Detete, please leave. Please leave. Izo, way to go. Sonomama ore no ude ni fuse o ateru. Fuse o. So, hitting him in the sonomama ore no. So he's like, he can feel the onusa no senten ga ore no ni no ude ni fureru. So he basically was just like, hit me, I could feel it, hit me in the arm. And Ruka has hit him in the arm. Koko de manga no you ni shogeki wa shockwave, as though it were from a manga. Demo okoreba gekiteki datta no daga okoreba gekiteki datta no daga touzen nagara, naturally, nani mo okinakatta. So it's just like, I was expecting something extraordinary to happen, like out of a manga, but nothing really special happened. Semi no nakikoe ga kikoeru dake. All I could hear was the cicadas. How are you? How did I do? Ore wa okiko iki o tsuita. I took a big breath. Te o furue wa tameteita. He stopped. His hand stopped shaking. Daijoubu da. Daijoubu. Most important word you can learn. Akuryo no satta yoda. It seems that the evil spirit has left, has passed. Yoku yatta. You did good. Job well done. Rukako wa hotto と息をつき、breathe a sigh of relief. それから、赤面した。And they blushed. They took a
役に立てて
breath of relief
よかったです
and blushed. お役に立ったて. So I'm glad I was able to help, basically. 役に立ってる make good use of, to be able to help, be helpful. やつたつて this is really what we're going to be using here, to be helpful. It's good that I was able to help. はにかむその姿は鼻かむ so this bashful this figure this bashful shy figure やはりどう見ても all appearances this is great. Get right back to our running joke. So again, like still this shy figure that you see in front of you, no matter how you look at it, by all appearances, どう見てる女の子だった like there's no, no matter how you look at it, that's a girl. But this next line, it's gonna be, oh, we didn't do it. Oh my gosh, they got me. Every time before that, I was just like 男だ Damn. I got. ラボに戻った俺は広間にI don't know. Let's go. I've been trying to do this now to see how far I can get without jumping over here. ラボに戻った俺は So as for me, I went back to the lab. The me, this is also fun to do. Japanese construction is very interesting. So, ore wa. As for me, but what kind of me? The me that returned to the lab. Rabo ni modotta ore. So this is all modifying the subject ore. Well, technically the topic. As for the me that returned to the lab, again, not a really smooth translation into English. But as opposed to saying, I returned to the lab, and then that's he's saying, like, as for me, the me that returned to the lab, Hiroma, it's daytime. Yeah, it's I returned to the lab, but it's that when you get the wa there. As for the me that returned to the lab, I like translating it as literally as possible sometimes, even though it's not helpful. But it's basically saying, yeah, like I returned to the lab. Hiroma ni kemuri o fuite chinmoku shite shimatta honboru terebi o 修理に出すため開花にあるブラウン管工房へ向かった So as he was about to go to the lab upstairs, it seems like there was some smoke coming out of the first floor, coming out of a TV, so he went in to go see what's going on. 誰も前よりも今日は帰ってしまったので So because they already returned home, this is going to be a name. Yeah, the name of the building. Something Yama Biru no 狭くて急な階段をテレビを抱えて一人で降りていくのはかなり骨の折れる作業だった So I think he's saying that, like, if he carried this TV down the thin stairs by himself, he'd probably for sure he'd break a bone doing that. It's bone breaking work. 尻で工房のドアを開けて中に入る. So he basically pushed the door open, walking backwards into it with his butt. 日が暮れる. The sun setting. 日が暮れて薄暗い店内で. So in the interior of the store, that is 薄暗い dim, and it's dim after the sun has been setting. So the sun is setting and the store is dim. 海外のニュース番組を映している強大なブラウン管の光がやけに眩しく感じる. So you can see the foreign news programs are basically projected on these gigantic, large TV monitors. Hikaru ga yakeni. It's just a dazzlingly bright, incredibly bright sensation, feeling, experience. Time check. 12:18. Let me get a couple more screens in, and then it is lunchtime for Chudrock. But let's get through a few more screens, find out what happened. He's taking this broken TV down. He did nearly, bone-breaking work to bring that TV down the stairs by himself. But he did it, it seems. 42型のブラウン管テレビ. A 42 model 42 brown tube television. 今の日本では入手できないらしい。文句を言うつもり。うん。今日の日本では入手できないらしい。It's like 今日の日本では today's Japan では acquisition できないらしい. It's like you can't get a hold of this. This is something that you can't really get in Japan nowadays, like a 42. I don't want to say 42 inch, but a 42. They're calling it 42 model brown tube. Ekisho terebi ga liquid crystal LCD television ga joshiki ni naritsutsu aru no ni. Yeah, it's very much like Okarin. I don't know what to call him. Rintaro is what they want us to call him, but I feel like he spent so much time being so weird and annoying. I'm not going to call him Kyoma for sure, but I know that Okarin bothers him. Rashi at the end is also used for hearsay. I always use Rashi as like. It's like this, but yeah, that would imply, I guess, that it's kind of a hearsay. So that's a good nuance to think about. Rashi. Yeah, Rashi, dekinai Rashi. 2 grammar points. Let's take a look. Rashi seems like, or typical of. Interesting. So, in the world of seems like, adjective or noun, Rashi, and for hearsay. Similar to solda or yoda, something that they think is true. So it's kind of like, it seems like it's hard to get these in Japan. I heard that these are hard to get. Apparently these are hard to get in Japan. I heard that person is French. Interesting. And then what do we have here? Typical of would be the other one. So it's ish, typical of ish, appropriate. So this is where otokurashi, you're really manly. You see, sometimes I feel like you can translate it the same way. Yeah, this is the one for rintaro. Rintaro rashi. I also like sasuga. Sasuga rintaro. Sasuga rintaro. As being the like as expected. Sasuga is a good one. Sasuga, as one would expect. It's only natural. Yeah. Flowing rock. Sometimes I wonder, and that's something that's sometimes it's true. That as often appearing in the kanji form is an adverb that indicates the teacher's feeling of being impressed that something has lived up to its reputation or what was expected of it. I always wonder sometimes, is this based on the like what's the etymology behind that? Is it just the pronunciation, or is there some deeper meaning behind flowing rock? I don't know. Sai Ekisho Terebi, liquid crystal television ga Shoshiki, accepted practice ni naritsutsu aru no ni. So, despite the fact that it just has the noises. Yeah, there's a lot of words like that where the kanji are just there because they make the same sound. That's the I think that's the onyomi, I believe. I never remember the difference between onyomi and kunyomi, and I really should, but it hasn't made me smarter, and I don't think it's made me dumber to not know. So I don't put a lot of pressure on it. Naritutsu, so it's become kind of like socially acceptable. It's become the modern day practice that people are using liquid crystal displays. No ni, even though that's become the modern thing. Konna baka de kakute. This type of ridiculously large basho ni toru brown kan terebi o hoshi to omoi yatsu wa dare mo inai darou kana. So he's saying, like, even though it's okay, sound reading. Onyomi. Yeah. So I was right. I was right. Kunyomi, reading, meaning reading. There we go. So here he's saying that even though it's become acceptable, normal, everyone's getting LCD TVs, he's saying, like, the type of person who thinks, I want this ridiculously gigantic brown tube television, he's like, are there even any more people that think like that, I wonder? Is that person exist? Does anybody like that exist?
Oh.
Hello.
Dosta Okabe.
What's your name? Brown Kan. その兄弟ブラウンカーの前にブランコ前に腰を下ろす腰を下ろすスポーツ新聞を見ていた筋肉実の不良中年 this middle-aged muscular person who basically looking at the sports page of the paper. この男こそ工房の店主であるビルのオーナーでもある This is going to be the name 天の something. Here we go. 天の寺融合だ天王寺 Heavenly King 天王寺融合だ It's a good name 融合 Alright. 俺はこの男のことをミスター・ブラウンと呼んでいる. He calls it Mr. Brown. And he's got a shirt that says Jack Hummer. Very strange. ブラウン管をこよなく愛する above all else 変人である. So he's an eccentric who loves brown tubes above all else. We'll get through.
どうしたもこうしたもないですよ。あなたからもらったテレビが壊れた。
What's on his apron? It says brown con, but then yeah, I don't recognize that. Let's see. It's got the flowers with brightness above it, so let's see if we can't pinpoint what that is on his apron. So we are going to have the moe. Oh, is it moe? Okay. Yep, moe. Yeah, crush. So he's got a crush on brown tubes. Brown tube lover. What a great, that's just incredible. Based on the drawing, unfortunately, it looks like his arm is backwards. That's gotta hurt. That's his elbow right there. どうしたもうこうしたもない. That's a for crying out loud. That's a long one. どうしたもうこうしたもないですよ。あなたからもらったテレビが壊れる. For crying out loud, like this TV you gave me is broken. Alright.
おめえ俺のブラウン管を乱暴に扱いやがったな。
Oh, he's mad. おめえ俺のブラウンカーの乱暴を扱いやがったな. It looks like you've been treating this with violence. You've not been showing love to my brown tubes. どうしまったこうしまったないです. Yeah, it's a very long one for crying out loud. ずっしり profoundly, heavily. ずっしりと重いテレビを so with this incredibly heavy television を俺はやっとなことで just managing カウンターの上に置いた. So he just barely manages to get this thing on the counter.
愛が足りねえんだよ、愛が。
愛が足りねえんだよ、愛が. You're not showing it enough love. Alright, one more. いかつい a stern look. 王さんが愛などという言葉を語るとは. So he's saying that this stern, grim man, love, things like love, という言葉を語った. This guy talks about love. He's talking about love of all things. Tomorrow, let me quickly save. I am afraid. He did. He's complaining about everything. In the course of one day, we're not even through the day yet. He's interrupted 2 speakers at science conferences. He has been hyper rude to Mayuri like 3 or 4 times. He, pretty sure he's running a mind controlling experiment on Luca. He convinced Ruka to do a exorcism under the guise that if this demon took over his body, that he would kill Ruka-kun. And now the TV he broke, he's bringing down to the shopkeeper to complain. He's a piece of work, this guy. But I'm going to save. My biggest fear is I'm going to not save one day, and I'm going to have like 3 hours of gameplay that I've missed. So